All right, what is going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down a few questions and a few things that you need to know prior to joining PHP Agency, which is Patrick Bet-David's agency that he owns, Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably know who that is. But let's just kind of dive into this. I want to break down, the commission level, the training, all the things and questions you need to ask prior to actually making that jump. And then also we'll be covering, I actually had the opportunity to join PHP a few years ago and ultimately decided not to. So I'll be explaining why I personally didn't join PHP Agency and then some other options that you can kind of look at if you decide not to. And if you decide to join them, then fantastic. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. But before I do that, I actually want to preface this. This is in no means like a disparaging thing about PHP. Patrick Bet-David is one of my favorite YouTubers. I watch him all the time, love his content. I think what he's done with PHP is awesome, but before you actually jump into it, I think you do really need to understand what you're getting into, which I think ends up being better for PHP as a company and then also you as the agent, right? So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, one thing that you should note before you join is PHP is going to primarily be focused on selling IULs, term, and annuities. So IULs are indexed universal life insurance policies. It's basically a policy that's kind of like tied to interest rates. I'm not going to dive deep into this video, but watch some of the YouTube videos on that. Term insurance is super simple, and then annuities are just like basically a investment product that's kind of tied to the market, right? Again, do some more research on annuities in a separate time, right? So obviously this is Patrick Bet-David's agency. He's the one that started and owns this agency, which is pretty cool. So as a part of PHP, you're connected to what Patrick is doing. He goes to all the events and everything like that, which is super awesome that you get to be a part of that. So that's definitely a pro. But let's kind of dive into everything here, right? We'll talk about the commission level first off, right? So one of the questions that you need to know whenever you join PHP or any agency is what is your commission level actually going to be? This is how you get paid, right? If you're going into something to make money, how you get paid is critically important. So the first question you need to ask is what is your starting commission level? As in when you come into the agency, what do you start off at, right? How do the commissions get raised? What is the max commission? Like how do you maximize this comp plan? And then what is the commission per product, right? Because I might sell an IUL with one company or a term policy with a different company. The commissions are going to vary most of the time, right? So this is some information that I actually pulled from a video I saw from PHP. And this was actually posted a couple years ago. It may have changed a little bit, but this is the most recent information I could find. And basically, when you first start off, you're going to be at a 30% commission, right? Now, this isn't necessarily bad by any means, but whenever we look at the commission, we want to look at like the full picture. We want to take a holistic approach, so to speak, right? And I'll kind of dive into that in just a second. But you start off at 30%. Next, the way you get it raised up is you need to recruit and you need to write, right? So you need to recruit 3 people and you need to sell 3 policies. So it's basically a 1-to-1 on recruiting to writing, right? As you go up, 15 recruits, 15 applications, 50 recruits, 50 applications, 100 recruits, 100 applications, so on and so forth. So basically the way that you raise your commission is you have to recruit and you have to write. You have to do both, combination of both. Now, if you're getting into the business and you're like, hey, I just want to sell. Like I don't want to, recruit people or, train a team or anything like that. Well, let's take that into account and maybe PHP wouldn't be a good fit for you. Whereas if you're watching this and you're like, hey, like that sounds amazing. I want to build a team. I want to recruit and, have agents under me. Well, this comp plan may work for you. Now, what I was saying like take into account the full picture is oftentimes when companies will have lower comp, it's because they're providing you leads, right? Now, PHP does not do leads, so that's not really part of this. But oftentimes, if you're starting at 30%, it's because you're getting free leads or you're getting a bunch of training, right? So definitely something you want to ask about. I can go ahead and tell you they don't do free leads here, but the part of the reason they have the commission lower on the front end is to incentivize team building, right? So this is not like if you're getting into the business to just sell insurance, the comp plan is not really maximized around that. It's maximized around selling and recruiting. So if you're not looking to recruit, you're not going to be maximizing the comp plan. You may want to look elsewhere, right? So that's just, not like a good or bad thing about PHP. It's just a fact. The comp plan is designed for this. So if you're not doing this, you need to find someone else. Training, right? This is critically important when you're getting into the business. What type of training are you going to be getting from your upline? Is it going to be hands-on training? Is it just going to be like, hey, go watch these videos and never call me if that's the situation? And then also, this is something that when I was first getting started was super helpful for me. And IULs and annuities are pretty complex products. Again, term is pretty simple. But like if you're in the middle of an application and you need help, is there someone you can call that's going to help you? Because if you don't have that, it's going to be much tougher in the beginning to see that initial success. So definitely something that you want to see if you can get. The leads. So PHP does not do leads. They don't have free leads. They don't really work with lead vendors, from my understanding. Most of the business comes through warm market, right? So basically, it's kind of like a traditional MLM structure, which again, not a bad thing by any means. It's just a fact. You go out to prospect, right? So you find people in your warm market. You find people in public, whether it be the grocery store, the farmer's market, your kids' sports games, church, whatever it is, and you recruit them, and then you sell them a policy. And then those people go out and find more people, and then they recruit them, and then they sell the policy. That's kind of like the structure of PHP. It's a very network marketing based. And if that's something that you're attracted to, great. It's probably a great fit. If that's something you're not attracted to, hey, probably not going to be a good fit, right? So heavily focused on warm market. Not going to be buying leads or doing anything like that. Especially when you're first getting started, like at 30% commission, you don't have enough money to afford to buy leads. Next thing, let's talk about upline, right? This is like probably one of the most important things when it comes to joining is picking your upline and being selective with that. Your upline is basically going to be like your mentor or your coach, so to speak. And it's very important that you feel like you align with this person ethically, as well as like with your core values and their culture, right? So if you're kind of picking out an upline and you're like, hey, I don't really trust this person, I don't like the way this person does business, I don't like the way this person deals with clients. It's not necessarily a negative on PHP, but like you need to find an upline that's going to fit you, right? And so like a lot of people, they'll just go with the upline that recruits them, but you want to find an upline that is going to train you, offer the support, and align with your values. Because basically the way that this is structured is it's kind of like PHP and then a bunch of different sub-agencies. And so one sub-agency might do things a certain way and another sub-agency might do things a completely different way. And so you really want to figure out like who's my upline, what is their experience selling, right? Because let's say the person that recruits you, they've sold 3 policies and they're recruiting you because they have to recruit. Well, that person's not really going to be able to train you as much on how to sell. So definitely something you want to take into account, right? So the next thing, recruiting. Obviously, we've kind of already established PHP is very recruiting heavy. So the whole commission structure is around recruiting and selling. If you're not comfortable recruiting, you don't want to build a team, definitely something you want to take into account. Now, the next thing is a release, right? So this is something I personally didn't account for at all when I got into the business. Most people don't, is a release. So if you decide to leave your agency, will they let your contracts go? So in the insurance industry, there's this thing called holding contracts. And basically what that means is like, let's say I'm with PHP and I'm going through it. I'm here for a couple months and then I decide, hey, this is not a good fit for me. I want to go join, ABC agency, whatever it is. PHP can lock me out of the business for 6 to 12 months, depending on how they've negotiated it with the insurance companies. So meaning, if I try to go move over to ABC company, I can't do that because PHP is holding my contracts. So some agencies will grant you a release where they'll allow you to leave. Others will not. So ask if PHP will give you a release, because if for some reason you decide it's not for you, you do want to have that out available, right? So with that being said, some of the biggest issues I've heard from PHP agents is just like the low comp in the beginning. Can be tough to make 30% work, especially if like you're struggling or your warm market isn't super big or whatever. And then also like a lot of people are not comfortable working the warm market. They would rather work leads and things like that, right? So if you're not really comfortable selling to friends and family or, cold prospecting or whatever, probably not going to be a good fit for you. So with that being said, I don't think PHP is a bad agency by any means. I think they're great if you're looking to recruit and looking to build a team. If you'd rather focus on selling, I would not join PHP, to be honest with you. I think there's better options out there. And personally, I'll tell you guys why I decided not to join, because I got recruited, a few months before I actually ended up joining the insurance business. This lady reached out to me. She DM'd me because I followed Patrick Bet David on Instagram and tried to recruit me in. And I went through the whole presentation, watched her PowerPoint. And, I didn't know better if 30% comp was high or low. I had no idea really. But the thing that for me at least, I was not a fan of is the fact that there's no leads. I was like, well, how do we get leads? How do we get people to talk to? And the answer was basically just you reach out to people you know, which for me, that doesn't really fit my personality. I'd rather call leads than just, try and sell my mom an insurance policy. For some people, it makes a ton of sense. For me personally, it didn't. Hopefully you guys found value from this. If you did, leave a like, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.